I'm not following. Bob, can you explain to me? When you say you draw a chord, what do you mean?
Yeah, the radius of that would be a chord, a specific chord. The radius would be a chord.
Where'd you get R? Conspiracy cat got your tongue?
I answered a specific question.
You answered it. Where'd you get the R?
Correctly.
You drew a chord. Where'd you get the R? Hey, cats. This is what you'd be doing when I asked you for R.
I don't play your little game.
Yeah, you don't stutter like a bitch when you're asked for R. Yeah, you fucking do.
The chord, a specific chord, radius of that circle. The chord.
The arc to the chord that you used. You didn't use it, though, did you, Bob? We're all going to pretend you didn't. Because you need R.
I know what I said, bro.
Yeah, me too. And you'll need R for it. Try and deny you used a chord again. Go on.
I know exactly what I said.
Yeah, I do too. My pitch goes up too when I'm caught.
No, I'm talking about nautical miles.
Oh, so we are talking about specifically about triangulation and areas of equal altitude and radii to them. Yeah, we know, you dumb shit. You said you had to draw a chord through a sphere, though, didn't you? And then you denied it when we had you up against the wall for the R value you haven't got. You stupid idiot. Oh, my God, this is pathetic. Hello.
Please.
Hello. Well, I just want to ask him why he's denying that a circle has a radius. This is preposterous.
This is a circle of equal altitude.
That's right.
And it does not have a radius. It has a distance to the GP. It does not have a radius.
There's a radius, you
The radius would be a chord.
You're a moron.
And is that...
Or a semichord, actually.
A semichord.
Okay.
Fucking ears into the funhouse meters.
Hang on.
Dude,
you're running a chord.
You're having a conversation with somebody that doesn't know a circle's two-dimensional and says there are no radii in circles.
Bob,
come on, John, grow up.
A chord, right? So the radius will be a chord through your sphere, is what you're claiming, yes?
This motherfucker.
Yep. Hang on, please.
Yeah, the radius of that would be a chord, but that's not. We don't have a radius of a circle of equal altitude.
Okay. So is a chord, right? Would the chord length be equal to the arc length that resides above it?
Say it again, please.
Would the chord length be equal to the arc length that resides above it?
The out lengths?
Let me repeat his question. Will the chord length be equal to the length over the top of that bulge you're describing? That's what he's asking.
No.
The arc, A or C.
No.
Let me ask it one more time.
He's answered. He's answered. No.
Right. So that means you don't have a circle of equal altitude, Bob. You can't create a circle.
No, that's not what that means at all.
So hold on, Brian.
Brian, that's not what a circle of equal altitude is at all. It has nothing to do with the chord radius of that circle.
Yes, well, Bob, a circle is impossible without a radius. And you just put the radius line through as a chord through your sphere. Now, what you don't realize is that the distance, the length of that chord.
I don't realize.
Don't just talk straight through him, Bob. Come on.
The distance length of the chord is less than the arc that resides above it, right? So your coordinates will never match because there's a bigger distance on the curve of your globe arc than there is on the straight line radius that you need for a circle. You've just debunked yourself.
I'm not following. Bob, can you explain to me? When you say you draw a chord, what do you mean?
Yeah, he's confused.
Yeah, well, explain it to me.
Sure. All right. So, Nathan. All right. Think about the North Star directly over the North Pole. Now, that'll be, if you're at the North Pole, that'll be at 90 degrees. If you move away from the North Pole and go to, say, 80 degrees, your altitude of that star will be 80 degrees, and the difference between that and 90 is 10, which means that you are 10 degrees from the pole, and at 60 nautical miles per degree, you will be 600 miles across the surface of the Earth between the pole and your location.
Hello, I don't steal my thunder, Adam. Bloody hell, I lined this trap up. How dare you?
Again, I don't know.
Hello? Hello? Can you let Bob finish, please? It's describing how you move 1 degree on a sphere, and that will account for 69 miles, won't it, Bob?
69 statute miles between the GP and your new location. That will give you an altitude to the star of 89 degrees, yes.
For every
and
1
they will
degree.
be 1 degree away from the star, from the
right.
GP.
Okay, gotcha. So as you move 1 degree on the spherical surface, correct?
Correct.
Where'd you get R for that, Bob?
I'm not getting an R. I'm getting a distance. It's a measured distance.
No, sorry, you don't understand, Bob. You describe moving over a spherical surface by way of a degree attribution to this measurement.
Correct.
Yeah. 1 degree over the sphere, correct? Yes, you said?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
That sphere that you are assuming we're going to be moving over and resulting in a 1 degree change of a spherical nature. I need to know where you... Yeah, there's that interruption at the conclusion of my question again, eh, Bob? Is this scary?
No, I'm amused by it.
Oh, really? Well, laugh it up. When you said you're moving 1 degree over a sphere, that sphere, that's got an R value, and I want to know where you got it to make the assumption that you're moving over it.
You misquoted me.
Sorry, I know what your claim is. Do you think this is my first rodeo? Do you not think I know what you're assuming when you say 1 degree for every 69 statute miles? That you're assuming a spherical surface that you're moving over? Well, that assumption requires R, Bob.
Well, since you got my claim wrong, shall I repeat it correctly?
We started off with a chord, didn't we?
No, I'm going to start off with the GP.
No, we started off with a chord, Bob, didn't we?
No, we're going to start off with the GP.
No, we started off with a chord, and that would be dissecting a sphere, and to know the chord, you'd know the radius first, wouldn't you, Bob?
R changes
so
by...
it's just going to ignore me?
Yeah, I'm going to ignore you until...
You bloody coward. Yeah, salty, I bet.
No.
Yeah, so you're drawing a chord through a sphere, and that's going to require an R value. Maybe just deny that that sphere you're drawing a chord through has an R. Maybe say it doesn't have one.
I never drew a chord.
Stutter for me, bitch. Yeah, the chord you described a minute ago. You described drawing a chord. I played dumb like I didn't know what it was. And you thought, oh, joy, I'll tell him all about how I draw a chord through the sphere, I assume.
Nathan, I never said anything to you about a chord.
Bob, can you explain to me? When you say you draw a chord, what do you mean?
A specific chord.
You
the radius would be a
moron.
chord. The chord radius of that circle would be a chord. A chord. I said it did.
Did you not realise we were recording this? Do I need to now cut out and trim you saying that you're not using a chord and then play you using that word specifically and me saying I don't understand what a quote-unquote chord is, Bob? Can you tell me what a chord is, Bob? Because you've used it and I don't understand.
Perhaps you
Maybe you need to fundy mute your total lie about your
Nathan,
use.
you might want...
Yeah, I would fundy mute your use of a chord that I asked you to clarify and say you didn't. How do they taste? That got your tongue, Bob? Just deny you used it, Bob. It doesn't matter that it's recorded, and I asked you to clarify it specifically, and then you took great delight in doing exactly that. Now you can just deny you need it because you'll need R for it, right? Just deny you even used it.
I don't need either.
Let's, hold on, I'll just clear it with everyone here. Are we all cool just pretending Bob never mentioned a chord? Are we all good with that?
Must have forgotten it already, yeah.
Yeah, because he didn't mention it. He's saying, yeah, we're all going to agree to this amnesia that we're going to pretend we've got. A chord, you say? I don't understand what a chord is, Bob. I will clear the airways very specifically to lay this trap so you tell me what a chord is that you're claiming you're going to use. And Brian asking about that chord and how the line over the top, the arc to the chord that you used. You didn't use it, though, did you, Bob? We're all going to pretend you didn't. Because you need R.
I know what I said, bro.
Yeah, me too. And you'll need R for it. Try and deny you used a chord again. Go on.
I know exactly what I said.
Yeah, I do too. My pitch goes up too when I'm caught. Yeah. Go up a few more octaves, Bob, for me. You used a chord and you'll need an R for it. Where'd you get it? That got your tongue? How do my balls taste? Salty? Where'd you get the R? You drew a chord. I pretended I didn't know what you were talking about, so you clarified it specifically, and now you're denying you used it. Don't seem to be fundy muting me anymore, Bob. Cat got your tongue? Where'd you get R? Conspiracy cat got your tongue? Where'd you get R, Bob?
I never used R.
Oh, really? When you drew a chord? Maybe just deny that you drew a chord through a sphere that needs an R value. Just deny it. Nobody will know.
I answered a specific question.
You answered it. Where'd you get the R?
Correctly.
You drew a chord. Where'd you get the R? Hey, cats. This is what you'd be doing when I asked you for R.
I don't play your little game.
Yeah, you don't stutter like a bitch when you're asked for R. Yeah, you fucking do. Stutter for me, Bob the bitch. You haven't got R for your chord that you drew and then denied. Deny you drew a chord again, Bob, for me. Deny it.
I never drew any chord.
You
the radius would be a
moron.
chord.
So I didn't ask you about a chord. You weren't quizzed by it on Brian then?
And I answered it.
Sorry, you weren't quizzed on the chord you drew by Brian and about the arc over the top that wouldn't give you a radius. You didn't claim that.
No, I said it.
No, we've all got amnesia. We're not daft, Bob. We know that you did. No, so does everybody else that realises how stupid you are with these current denials of something you very specifically claimed and then took great delight in explaining to me, didn't you, Bob? You explained it to me because I pretended I didn't know. And you thought, hey, I can tell Nathan about what a chord is. Only to then claim I haven't used it later.
I didn't say anything about a chord with this, Nathan.
You
the radius
fucking
would be a
moron.
chord. He
Just
asked me
deny
a
it one more
specific
time, so I've got
question
three.
about the chord.
Deny it one more
But I
time.
very
Say, yo, Brian, do you want to just explain to him again what your discussion was about? Because he seems to have amnesia, like for real amnesia.
Yeah, I was asking about a radius of a sphere and a circle, and I asked him about the radius for his circle of equal altitude, and he said it's a chord, and a chord would be a chord.
The radius of a circle of
Yeah,
equal
there's him
altitude
interrupting
would be a-
audience. You notice how he went very silent and I called him my bitch and asked him if he was conspiracy cats because he's being asked for R. Now he's having his lie summarised by Brian and he needs to funny mute it, doesn't he?
No.
Yeah, so sit down, bitch. We're going to lay out your lie. You're lying right now about having utilised a chord that would need an R value that you haven't got. Now, up until now, you've deluded yourself into believing that not labelling your requirement for an R got away with not justifying it. But now you've used a chord, haven't you? But you think you're just going to lie, even though we've recorded it and had an entire discussion and had me ask you to clarify it? You think you're going to get away with denying it still, you dumb idiot?
Brian stated it correctly.
Brian, save me!
No,
Where'd you get
Brian
R?
stated it correctly.
Where'd you
I
get
agree with him.
R? You drew a chord that you're now denying. Maybe deny it again, or just tell us where you got R. That got your tongue?
I
Quick,
don't
think of a
feel the
question
need
to ask
answer
me.
that.
Quick, think of a question you can ask me, Bob. Where'd you get R? You drew a chord, Bob. You took great pleasure in explaining it to me. Have you forgotten? Have we not reminded you enough times of your lie? Your selective memory.
Brian
we'll
stated
give you the
my
benefit of the
position
doubt.
correctly.
You
Sorry.
are quite old. We'll give you the benefit of the doubt. Selective memory. Not a lie. You just happen to have forgotten that you made a very specific claim about a chord, argued about it with Brian, then clarified it for me. Because you didn't, did you? We'll just call that selective memory. Now we've highlighted that you did use a chord.
Brian got it.
Yeah, you got it.
Brian
Where'd you
got
get
it.
the
Why
R?
haven't you, Nathan?
Where'd you get the R for the sphere you drew a chord through?
I don't need an R.
You do stutter quite a lot when you're up against the wall, though, don't you, Bob? Where'd you get R
No.
for the chord you drew?
Don't need it.
You don't need it. Maybe a bit more. One more octave, Bob.
I didn't describe
One more, a bit higher. Can you get a bit
it.
higher
I described
pitched?
what a chord was. I didn't state a specific chord.
Oh,
I
right. So
explained
when we're doing triangulation for navigation and drawing out nautical miles, we're not specifically talking about moving around on the surface of Earth. You're just talking in general, aren't you, Bob?
No, I'm talking about nautical miles.
Oh, so we are talking about specifically about triangulation and areas of equal altitude and radii to them. Yeah, we know, you dumb shit. You said you had to draw a chord through a sphere, though, didn't you? And then you denied it when we had you up against the wall for the R value you haven't got. You stupid idiot. Oh, my God, this is pathetic.
I got what I needed to get today.
Oh, did you?
No, you don't. Nathan, please go to the go to the reference I put up in Master B. We're going to demolish him right here because he keeps speaking in terms of like he's our teacher. He says, we know, we understand. Let's go to Master B.
Okay.
You'll see the slide.
Well, you guys
right
have fun doing that, and then try and figure out what I did today.
No, run like cats. Run like cats, Bob.
Hey, Nathan,
run like cats. Cats ran when it got to R2, Bob. Now I'd like you to run. Run, cats. Run.
Run away
from R. Run from R, Bob.
Merrily, the horizon can't be far.
Run from R, Bob. That's where we've got to. Yeah, 10th man's making an ancillary point. You haven't got R. Now you're going to run. We're going to establish exactly what's happening, just so none of your fundy fuckwits can claim that somehow I ran from you. You're running from R, Bob.
No.
You haven't got it. You've denied your use of tangents. You've denied your use of having an R on your diagram. Now it's got down to brass tacks. We need R from you, and you're going to run because you haven't got it.
Hey, Nathan, do you mind not talking long enough for me to ask you this one question?
You can suck my balls long enough to know you haven't got an R value.
That's
great.
The one, Nathan.
Yeah, great. Great. While we get to the conclusion, as Bob runs away, we're going to establish firmly in the audience's mind's eye what's happened. He's being asked for R for the tangent that he denied, after using it and clarifying it for me with great pleasure all over his mouth. Now he hasn't got that R that he used for the tangent he liked to
Nathan,
explain
do you
to me.
recall what...
And he's going to fundy mute my conclusion of his lack of R, because that's all fundy scumbags like Bob and Cats have got. When it comes to the conclusion that they're going to run away from R, they'll chant through the middle of that. You haven't got an R value for every assumption you made here, Bob. For your bent line that won't make your sextant work, you haven't got an R for that. For your refraction, that you didn't understand that any refraction isn't all refraction, that yours needed R. For the R that you needed for the tangent that you later denied after explaining it to me and arguing about it with Brian. You haven't got R, Bob. Now that we've established that, you can fuck off if you want.
Hey, Nathan, do you remember what Wolf...
Maybe a question rather than actually acknowledge that you haven't achieved anything other than assuming R by way of not labelling it and not having to justify it. That's all you're going to do. You think that this is going to result in a question from me? You haven't got R. Like Cats didn't have R, Bob.
Remember when Wolfie and I conspired...
No one's interested in Wolfie. You segue, you chaff and redirect. That's all you're doing. Chaff and redirect. You haven't got R.
I just want you to know...
I don't care what you need me to know. I need you to know that you failed because you didn't have R. And there he runs. Good dog.
Yep.
Bye-bye. Good doggy. Run from R like Cats ran from R.
Shall I comment or do you want to?
Now, these two fine fellows are very intelligent. They have a sextant.
And they know where the horizon mirror needs to go. And in the second picture, you can see their ship, and they're aiming somewhere. And there's a star directly over that area. It's the GP, the zenith position of the star. But what do you know? The third picture gives them triangulation because they're somewhere on the circle, and they've got an angle to it. And if I may rephrase, they have an angle, but they don't know exactly where on the circle they are. But go to the next slide. You can be anywhere on this circle. It's the same angle as shown by the next slide. So what they need is another star. So now they got their ship between two GPs of two stars. And now they can triangulate the position where they are on the circle between one of those two crossings. And if they want to be more precise, they'll take a third star. I think these guys know what they're doing.